All right, so how do you create, fund, or manage the trust? We talked about creating it. It's just a written document. It's a written contract, 4 corners of the document. I, Mary Hart, as grantor, hereby establish this trust, naming so-and-so as trustee. I put the date, then I write the purposes of the trust and what all the distribution provisions are, all the management provisions, all the trustee powers, who's the beneficiary, all that kind of stuff. So I write that contract, that trust. What is it? Nothing yet. It's just words on a piece of paper, right? There's a trustee that has a role. It's got a hat on it. It says trustee. There's me as the grantor. There's nothing in it. So there's nothing to administer, nothing to manage. It will mean nothing. I'll give you an example. So let's say that I set up a revocable living trust for estate planning, and I'm like, I am going to avoid probate. We'll talk about that more. Absolutely going to avoid probate. I've got this great revocable living trust, but I never title a single asset into the name of the trust. What happens when I die? Does that trust do anything? Takes up space in the wastebasket because it means nothing. You have to actually get the assets in the trust for the trustee to be able to manage them and follow the terms of the trust. So once you've written the trust agreement, how do you get assets into the trust? How do you change the title on anything? If it's real property, I'm going to do a deed for Mary Hart to Joyce Simms as trustee of the blah, blah, blah trust, 125 Main Street Trust, right? That transferred that property to Joyce as the trustee. If it's a bank account, I'm going to title it in the name of Joyce Simms, or 125 Main Street Trust, Joyce Simms as trustee. My name's nowhere on there, right? If it's a car, it's a DMV title. Stock account, change it with the broker. You understand what I'm saying, right? But you got to do something to change the title of the asset to actually make a trust be effectuated. And I cannot tell you how many times I see people who have paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for these beautiful estate plans, usually, sometimes land trust, but rarely, and they never put the assets in it. So they die and the spouse comes in and says, great, we can avoid probate, right? I'm like, well, show me the titling documents for all these assets. And they all just have the individuals' names. I'm like, nope, we're going to court. We're going to do a probate. And like, well, we have this beautiful trust. Great, but you stopped too soon. You stopped 3 feet too short before you finished what you're doing. So create the trust, put the assets in it, and your trustee will just follow the terms of the trust in terms of the management and the distribution, okay? That's the basics of a trust. Again, many, many purposes, and we're going to get into the land trust, but trusts can be used to avoid probate, like I just said. They can be used to basically share the benefits of your estate between maybe children and a second spouse, third spouse, fourth spouse. I've seen some of my clients, 7 spouses. They can provide for disabled loved ones to make sure that government benefits don't get disqualified. If all of a sudden you've got a disabled grandchild who's on Medicaid or SSI or whatever, and they inherit a bunch of money, they might just get knocked out of Medicaid and have to spend every dime of that money and then re-qualify. Use a trust. You can give them a sinking fund to pay for things that Medicaid doesn't pay for, a trip to Disneyland with the cousins or whatever, and not disqualify them for Medicaid. I could go on and on and on. Estate taxes, charitable gifts, all kinds of reasons.